finding it very hard to figure out where this stems from in my own life. Welcome everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Udeme, and today we are discussing hyper independence. I know guys, I heard this word I think 2 weeks ago or last week, and I have been doing a ton of research on it because I have not seen a word that describes me so perfectly, and this is not a good thing. So I am not trying to toot my own horn about anything. No, I am really it's a problematic thing in my opinion, because I mean, in our world now, we know that when you hear of independence is seen as a good thing, especially for a woman to be. It's good to have your independence. So I believe that a little bit of independence and some dependence joined together gives the perfect balance. But being fully independent and not having anyone to depend on can be a very big problem. And I think just generally with things, anything that is taken to its extreme is not a good thing. You know what they say, too much of everything is a bad thing. I think this is one of those situations where too much of independence can be a bad thing. Now, I'm not an expert on this topic, I'm just speaking from my point of view. So if you have any contrary opinions or anything else to add, feel free to do that in the comment section. Let's have a conversation, because this really intrigues me. So I'm just going to read out the meaning of hyper independence as I saw. Hyper independence is when the strength of independence is nullified by the complete inability to depend on others. And you know, when I was reading this and I was going through all of the go-throughs, I was taking it round and round in my head and trying to think about it and all of that. It even goes as far as not being able to fully depend on God, even though you know that this is someone who is pure, who can his intention is good towards you, is amazing, his life is everything, you need him. It is even hard if you're hyper independent rather, to trust a supreme being like God. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let alone human beings that naturally would hurt you just because we are human beings. You understand? And I think one thing that stuck out to me from the article was that it usually comes from a place of trauma. And I think before I ever found out about the word hyper independence, one thing I've always tried to think about the fact that I'm very terrible with commitment with people. I'm really afraid of commitment, and I feel like I have intimacy issues because it is so hard for me to bear my. I don't mind being the person that people pour out their hearts to, and I listen, and I'm very empathetic, and I can understand where you're coming from, and I can probably give good advice. That's debatable, but you understand what I mean. But when it's my turn, especially in a place where we are all sharing, I share little to nothing. So people, they said that it usually comes from a place of trauma, maybe because you've been in a situation where you did not feel safe, or you had some traumatic experience happen to you, maybe in your childhood. That could be the reason why you are hyper independent, because maybe you feel like you are the only person that you can trust and you can lean on, and you do not trust anybody else to help you, which is a good way to live, because it can be a very lonely thing, because I mean, human beings are not meant to be autonomous. No human being is an island, so we are meant to trust people, have people to help us in situation. You understand what I mean? There's supposed to be an element of dependency on people around you, your loved ones, your colleagues. And when you think about it, some people might only think about it in the sense of relationships, but if you think about it, even in workplaces, it will be someone like me, I can literally work at home for such a long time and probably almost, if not necessary, communicate to any of my teammates, which is not the best. So I feel even in school, you might need help with your schoolwork, but you would just not ask anybody. One might be because I don't know what you might be thinking, but also it could be an egotistical thing. So your ego might be why should I ask? I'm sure I've done enough. What I have is good enough, instead of just asking someone for that extra bit of help. So it's such I don't know why. It's such a not. It's not a good thing, and I hope if you are hyper independent, this is. choking you a little bit and you're like, how can I do to change this? So this article says that there are 2 ways to handle things or try to change if you are a hyper independent person. One of the methods is a task, trust and ask method. So you have a task, even if you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't need help with this thing, like I can do it on my own, blah blah blah. Take the conscious effort to trust someone to do that task for you. Now when you trust someone to do that task for you and they complete the task, now you have that solidified trust with them, and you now see them as someone who is reliable. The next time it will be easier for you to ask them again for help, and a repeat this would help you to stop, to reduce your hyper independence. The second method is to check your ego. That's the second method. So your ego will tell you like, oh, you can do it on your own, and then by the time you do it and you feel in your heart that, gosh, if I had help, maybe this thing would have been better, your ego will be like, well, at least you did the best you could. But a way to check your ego to be like, next time I should ask someone for help so that this work will come out way better than it is right now. So those are the 2 ways that you can check your that you can help yourself if you're hyper independent to slowly come back from being hyper independent to maybe just independence. Because independence does not mean that you do never ever need help. It just means that you can do most things by yourself, and you know when to ask for help, and you have people around you that you can ask for help when you need help, and not like forcing it on and trying to do it all on your own because nobody else can do it better than you. Sometimes I try to figure out, what happened to me when I was younger, what traumatic experience happened that has made me so afraid of commitment when it comes to people. I really still have not figured it out. I do not know what the issue is or where this is coming from, and hopefully I figure it out. Because the word trauma sounds so deep, sometimes it's easy to dismiss the fact that very subtle event could have been a traumatic experience, because you just feel like, oh, trauma has to be something, intense and full impact. But sometimes it's something that you might dismiss, that you might not really see, that might be the thing that has caused you to be the way you are, or the way think the way you think, and in my case be hyper independent. And yeah, maybe one day I'll figure it out, or that could just be my bad memory too. Do you understand? I do not have the greatest memory of exact things that happened, but I just have very moments that are I enjoy telling stories about. So it could be my bad memory, and maybe one day I'll remember or pay a therapist. I mean that might be the way to go. But yeah guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment for me, and of course subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you next week Tuesday for another video. Bye.